and welcome to another episode of Level 0 NPCs present Serious Sunday. My name is John. I'm taking care of this week's Serious Sunday, and I'm going to once again jump back and talk about Overwatch. Now, I'm talking about it because it's one of my favorite games, and it's what I'm playing right now, and I think it's what like millions of other people are playing right now too, so I don't think I'm that too far off base. So let's talk about Overwatch Patch 1.1.0.2, otherwise known as the Ana patch. Ana is the new healing character. She's the mother of Pharah. She shoots medicine into people, which is freaking hilarious. And it's great, and I'm sure we're going to get some feedback on Ana at some point in these episodes. But what I wanted to really talk about was the very, very specific changes that were made to my favorite character, D.Va. D.Va's always been classified as a tank in these games, in this game, which is, it's pretty normal. But she just wasn't performing up to snuff. It was really difficult to play her in competitive situations. She just always seemed like an odd pick, because other characters did everything she did better. I'm going to go over it just a little bit to talk about the changes, and that's going to be our Serious Sunday for the day. So, in the patch notes, you're looking at it, the defense matrix was really the big change. Now, D.Va, who is listed as a tank, didn't really absorb the kind of damage that you'd want her to. They really relied heavily on her defense matrix, which was her E at the time. Her E resulted in a cone-shaped shield coming out from her that allowed her to protect herself and some other players from some incoming fire. It was on a timer. It lasted for the same amount of time every time, and then had a very long 10-second cooldown before you could use it again. It was really that 10-second cooldown that made it very difficult to play the character like a tank, because you were only a tank every now and again, because you couldn't actually defend anybody. That being said, she's still a killing machine. That's why I continued to play her, because she is able to kill a lot of people and get just a ton of assists, because she whittles people down and then the rest of your team can go ahead and take them. But from a defensive point of view, which is, by the way, what a tank is supposed to be, in case you didn't know that, the cooldown being decreased from 10 seconds down to 1 second, the way it is now, is phenomenally better in terms of trying to play her as a tank. They've also changed the way that it's mapped, so it is mapped to your your right mouse button. Mouse button 2, as opposed to on the E, so it does feel more like an alternate fire. It's kind of exciting. It's fun to play that way. It also, now you can, there's two different things. The 1 second timer is a little bit misleading, because if you use all of your shield at one time, it does take a little bit longer than 1 second to generate all the way back to the top. So you can fire it again after 1 second, but it's not going to be a full charge, which I think is also kind of cool. It just adds a layer of really interesting strategy to the game and to playing this particular character. The other thing I wanted to touch on is I did want to touch on the self-destruct changes. So what we're seeing now is that D.Va's always had a very interesting Q or ult power, and it was called self-destruct. You would fly in, for those of you who didn't know, you'd turn your mech into a bomb, and that bomb would go off killing people in a small radius, and you if you happen to get caught in it. So that wasn't obviously the ideal for what we were going for there, but it did do its job. They've increased it. They made your ultimate easier to get, which is fantastic. Apparently 15%, looking at the patch notes right now. But you really do feel that change in the game. It was always really frustratingly long time to get your ultimate compared to other characters when you're playing D.Va. Now it comes at a natural pace. It doesn't feel too fast, it doesn't feel too slow, but you can definitely contribute without any problems. They've also decreased the explosion delay, which is... so you come in, you press your Q, and then your mech starts charging. you get shot out the backside, and then 4 seconds later, under the old patch, it would explode. 4 seconds... I see why they made a change here, because it was always very frustrating, because you'd go in, you'd get your ult, you'd fly in, you'd use your ult, and then you would kill nobody, because they all had plenty of time to get away. It's part of the charm of the character, because it makes everybody go, oh my god, and scatter off of a point, or scatter off of whatever they need to, but it just didn't have the kill power that it was supposed to have. So they pulled it back from 4 seconds to 3 seconds. Again, this is a change you will notice when you're playing. You're not necessarily going to be counting how long everything is taking, but you're going to feel like you're getting a lot more done, like it's a little bit scarier to the other players. Finally, it used to damage D.Va when the explosion happened. So you would, 50% of the time, you wouldn't be able to get out of the way fast enough, and you'd get killed, making the ult kind of not useless, because you still feel good if you take a couple of people with you, but oftentimes you'd be the only one that would die. They've made her immune to that explosion now, so not only is your team immune to the explosion, but you as D.Va are immune. So what you can do, pop out of your mech in chaos, shoot people as they try to run away from it, and then as soon as the mech is destroyed, you can reactivate your Q and get your mech back. I've always used this for a couple of reasons. I've used it to damage, of course, but I do find what it's fantastic at is your brand new mech is going to have full health. So if you've got your ult and you're about to get destroyed, you can just pop your ult, destroy the mech, get a brand new mech at full power, and just continue fighting. It's almost a full heal, which is really, really cool. So we're really hoping to see D.Va a lot more in these matches. I've been playing the patch now for a couple of days, and you do see her a lot more than you used to. I'm worried now that what's going to happen is they are going to nerf her at some point, because she is just that much more pickable. She's almost a must-have, and one of the things they're really cautious of over at Blizzard, and I give them full credit for this, is they want to make sure that they don't have any overwhelming heroes, or they haven't gone too much. It's not unusual for Blizzard to patch a character and have it be too powerful. They like to do that, and then they'll ratchet it back as they start to see that, oh wait, she's got a 100% play rate, so she's going to continue on. So that's all I really have to say about this patch and my favorite character, D.Va. If you have any personal experiences or tricks or tips or things that make her a little bit easier to play or more fun to play or things that take her out easily, please go ahead and leave a note in the comments. We'll see you next Sunday. Take care.